I still have to do my taxes, so we can't go on too long. Today's the deadline.
You should say that in the video, actually.
Yeah.
We can't do a super long episode today because Anthony has to do his taxes still here in America. So it's gonna be a week later now. So I hope he did his taxes by the time this video comes out.
Maybe I'll just include this on it right before the intro.
Maybe. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Australians, welcome to another episode of Tatami Talk. My name is Juan. This is my co-partner Anthony. It's a judo podcast for judo players by two judo players. So Anthony, we just talked about right now. How you doing?
Well, like I might include it in the intro, but I have to do my taxes, and it's the deadline's today, so I have to go and do it. The
deadline's tomorrow, the 18th.
Yeah, so basically, you have to get it in by tonight, and I don't know, like. you know, with like COVID and stuff, they extended the deadline last year.
Yeah, like, and you last year also got an extension, didn't you?
Yeah, like I had to file extension because there was something else with my wife's company giving her stocks and stuff, so that was more complicated. But we don't have that excuse this year. This year, I was just like, oh, it's going to be like last year. They're going to extend the deadline, but no, they didn't. So
not this year,
I have to do that. I have a guy coming over tomorrow to install the dishwasher, so I have to empty out I have like drawers in the spot that's for the dishwasher, so I need to empty those out and find a place for all the stuff in there. And I was gonna go for a run with my dog, so I haven't ran in a while and my knee's been feeling better, so I'm gonna go for a run. And what else do I have to do? I just have a lot of stuff to do, but let's get the show on the road. Let's do this.
If anyone's interested, Anthony's one of those guys that also does in America. He does his own taxes. He doesn't go to a guy, doesn't go to a place.
I did find a guy last year because of the stock stuff. And then we bought a house and all that stuff. So it's like complicated. Yeah.
Oh my God, Anthony was making me laugh. I go to a guy and I get mine done early because I'm always very paranoid about that stuff. I'm always like, I just want to get it done. I want to get it done as soon as possible.
You know why I don't want to pay someone to do it? Because you give them all the stuff and then in the end, they ask you a bunch of questions that you have to respond to them anyway. And then you have to review it yourself. So I'm like, why? I might as well just do it myself. If I'm just inputting the numbers from the forms, I might as well do it myself. And I did it for like 8 years before I found it. Like last year was the first time I hired someone to do it. And I'm like, if I didn't have these questions about the stocks and all that stuff, or getting married, or if you move states, you know, you have half a year in this state and a half a year in another state, then you have to file the state differently. Like unless you have a special circumstance like that, I would not hire someone to do it. It was like $600.
$600?
Yeah, because of the special circumstances that. Oh my God, that we were doing.
I do feel you on the other state stuff because a long time ago. Okay, so when I worked on King Kong, okay, it's not Juan dropping names and stuff again. Oh, King Kong just fell in my pocket right now. So when I worked on King Kong, they did reshoots here in LA, but most of it was filmed in Hawaii. So people would know that King Kong, when the King Kong versus Godzilla, the original King Kong they made, or the one they made for that series. So that was mostly filmed in Hawaii. So even though I worked the movie here in LA, we worked at Ontario Airport. We did the boat scene there and the scene when Samuel L. Jackson's doing the huge rainstorm. He's getting the phone call that he has to go for a special mission. I'm there in the rain running back and forth. And I'm also in the boat scene. You may see me for a split second if you look really hard. But okay, so their office was in Hawaii. So when I got my paycheck, it was weird because my paycheck was from Los Angeles, but the office address was in Hawaii. When I did my taxes, they're like, Mr. Rodriguez, did you work in Hawaii? And I was like, no, I didn't work in Hawaii. Just the office to the company was in Hawaii, but I still had to do some weird form thing to pay some tax. That's why Hawaiian tax. That's why you're paying. That's why I was going to say, like, another exception is if you're a contractor. Like I have a 1099, right? No, not 1099, whatever. I'm W-2. I have a W-2. That's what I have. So usually I just go online, punch in the numbers from a W-2, and then pay the bank interest, whatever interest forms, and at the time, student loans, whatever interest. And then that's it. And then you get a return. But
if you have a freelancing contracting work, you have all these paperwork, and I used to do contracting for a side job, and I'd have to fly, and they would, depending on where your flight departed, if you do work on the plane and you charge the hours, you know what I'm saying? If you go across states like on the plane, it just
I worked in Nevada, Arizona, Texas.
not like where you're flying, but it's like something about like the destination versus like if you, let's say your office is in DC, which is where mine was, and you're flying to like New York, then you would like bill it on DC, I think. But then if you fly it the other way around, you would bill it in New York. It's weird. I don't remember exactly what it was, but yeah. So you have special circumstances like that, or you have a lot of stocks or a lot of deductions, because another part of the accountant's job is to find the maximize your deductions for you, right? But if you don't have like kids, dependents, taking care of your parents that are living with you, all these deductions, and it's very simple. Like, why would you pay someone to do it?
Yep. And that's Anthony's theory about
how much himself. Do you pay? So how much do you pay for your account every year?
That's a non-disclosable agreement right there. Can I tell you?
You can't tell me the fees. The fees for an accountant.
It's
usually around 100 or 120 for average person, right?
Well, that's the thing. Oh, okay. So this is for international people. I'm sorry. This is stimulating judo talk right now. This is dumb American tax talk. Most people only work one job, sometimes two jobs, sometimes a third job sometimes and stuff. Me as a working actor, I will get on average minimum 10 W-2s, 10 or more. And in America, you'll get charged usually average. If you go to like in America, H&R Block or Jackson Hewitt or something, they'll charge you like $50-$60 per W-2.
Okay. That's why I was asking. Yeah.
Yeah. If I was to go there, I would get charged like $600-$700 or something with my wife's and mine. So I actually go to an accountant that understands what my stuff is, and he charges us about I think $250.
Okay, that sounds yeah. So I guess 600 for the scenario. Because at first when I saw 600, I was like, "Holy crap!" But then I realized we did ask him a lot of questions that had some weird scenarios. Plus, it was last minute, so we told him, "Can you get this done by like 2 days?"
Well, yeah, same like Anthony. Like I have stocks, I have bonds, I have cryptocurrency now. I have all these other investment things. So
that's another reason I'm not doing crypto, because I did the taxes for the crypto one year, and I'm like, I'm never ever doing this again. Like,
so you just sold all your crypto off. You're like, I'm done with crypto. I'm out.
Most of it. I sold most of it, and I only have a little bit left. Yeah.
You only have to pay if you pull out, really. Were you pulling money out all the time, Anthony?
See, I don't trust Bitcoin, so I don't own any Bitcoin. But in order to get the other currencies, you have to buy Bitcoin and then convert the Bitcoins into that. And for each transaction, you have to write the record down of the price for that day. Mm-hmm. So now I learned my lesson. Yeah,
and that's funny. I remember you talking about that. Was it like a year or two ago? And you're just like, I don't remember what I bought the price at. I don't remember how much I got it for. And I'm like, you don't write that down. You buy it.
Not at the time. When you remember when I bought it, this is like 10 years ago.
Yeah, like I bought mine like 5 years ago or something.
This is before they started regulating the stuff. So it's not like the stock market where you can just go online and be like, what was the price of like the stock at this time, at this day? No, the cryptocurrency market was so brand new back then. And a lot of people didn't pay taxes at the time because it wasn't regulated. Yeah. So I didn't keep track of that shit. Like
I always write because I always like to know what my profit margin is. So I always write down what I buy it at, and I do the math on that.
I roughly remember how much I spent on it in my head and what I bought it at. But you asked me for exact price, like what to the cent. I don't know that.
All right. Let's get off this topic. All right. People are probably bored already. I was talking about taxes and crypto and doing dumb stuff. We're not even sponsored by no crypto anything. I'm not going to name any of them right now. I'll give them some free advertisement. We live in Los Angeles. So, the Staples Center, my cousin visited. He was like, hey, I'm at Staples. I'm like, do you mean you're at the crypto.com arena? He's like, yeah, crypto.com arena. All right. So as most people, if you're a regular listener, you know that last week we celebrated our 2-year anniversary 50th episode. And we had some questions. We had some feedback and stuff. We had actually 3 really good questions that we picked out from people. Mm-hmm. One about grappling, one about back patches. We talked about that. And the other one was,
it wasn't a question. It was more like a comment. Yeah.
Comment. But they're just stuff that we like. So to show our appreciation to our fans that do listen to us and do support us, we're going to answer some questions today. Normally we put them to the side and we'll answer them in some things, but let's answer it first. So yeah, Anthony, which question do you answer first? Let's
go with the comment, not the question first.
Let's go with the comment.
Gerard, our longtime listener from Northern Ireland, sent us a message, says, "Hey guys, still listening and loving the show. On your latest edition, you spoke about having a back patch if you are called up for international duty. Judo Northern Ireland offer back patches to all members. They are a different design to our international players, but are a good funding stream for our smaller federation. I've included a link that have for you to have a look to see. It's the Northern Ireland Judo Federation website, basically. Keep up the great work. Remember to slap the mat." Yep.
Thank you. Greatly appreciated.
Yeah. Gerard is like, I think our first email was from Gerard many years ago. So we're glad that you're still listening. I think in one of our episodes, we actually briefly mentioned the back patches. I know Sawtell and 510 Judo up in the Bay. They both have their club back patches.
So let's make this clear then. So most of the time you see some of the back patches, international back patch, that they're international competitor, that they fight for whatever country that they represent in international competitions. Most of the time you see that, you think that they're a very serious player because they go to international competitions. You're like, oh, they go to Pan Ams or Europe or Canadian Open, the Canada Open, whatever Open it was. I can't remember right now. But so that's the main one you see. In the US, they do also offer a back patch if you go compete at USA Judo Nationals. They offer a back patch there, and
Winter Nationals,
which used to be the USJF Winter Nationals. Now it's known as the Nanka Nationals. Just changed their name, but they sell back patches there. You get their symbol for that year, says your name on it, and you get your name put on it. It's really nice.
Kind of like a souvenir T-shirt, when you go. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's kind of like what it is.
Yeah. And as we said before, like Anthony was talking about that, some dojos also do for a revenue stream that they will make back patches for their students. Like here in LA, Sawtell Judo does that. Was it 510?
510 up in the Bay Area. Yeah.
Up in the Bay do. And I've seen it other dojos too. So it is something that other dojos do as a cool thing. A long time ago, not super long, maybe 5 years ago or more, I looked into it through Golden Tiger. That was the martial arts supply store we used to use the most because it was super close to us. It was here in Koreatown. And I had to get a huge number made because I wanted to get like maybe 50 made. And they're like, oh, you need to get, I think the number was bigger than that. Yeah. So like, I thought 50 would be enough. That I had to get a bigger number than that. And they had a thing where, God, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it would just be the back patch, but you couldn't get your name put on it. It would just be like a simple back patch, but you couldn't get your name put on it. Or if I had to get like 50 names put on it at one time or something. So I dropped it. I looked into it. It was like too expensive, too complicated. I was like, forget it. But Anthony was saying that in the link. How much was in the link that the guest sent to us?
So I think the ones that everyone goes to is mybacknumber.com. mybacknumber.com. And it was like starting at €9 and goes up to like 16 euros, I guess, if you want custom designs or something. So it's almost 1 for 1. So it's like under $20 per patch.
Okay. Yeah. How much would the shipping cost to America?
I don't know. It can't be that much. It's a freaking, you roll it up into like a tube, like
roll it into a tube. Yeah. That's actually a funny story about that. So Anthony bought me a new black belt for Christmas. He got me a black belt from Japan. It came from a DHL sent it to. It got mailed over by DHL. Yep. And I got it in this small little yellow bag, like probably like maybe the size of a fist. It was just rolled, not even rolled up. It was like folded up into it. And I was like, oh, I felt it. I was like, this must be my belt. It's just really funny.
But the mybacknumber.com is where you get the IJF one. It's the official back number for IJF, EJ, and European Judo Union competitions, is what it says. And you can also create your own designs and stuff. But yeah, I mean, we talked about it briefly, but I feel like it's nice to have a back patch for local tournaments if you compete pretty often, because then people will see like You ever been in a tournament where it's like, where's John Doe? Where's John Doe? Like they're like, it's your turn. And like when everyone has a back number, you can just like, hey, it's your turn. You just grab them, right? Mm-hmm. Or it's like, oh, you're from that club. Do you know where your club teammate is or your sensei? I need to go talk to him for whatever reason. Yeah. So it's a good idea to have a back patch, I think, if you compete pretty often. But on the other hand, I've had people in the past ask me like, oh, do you think it's okay? Like, you know how Koreans and in some cases, some Latin American country people, they like to represent their own country. But he's American. My friend's Korean, but he's American. And he's like, you think it's okay for me to get a back patch with Korea on the back? And I'm like, no.
Dude, that is a total Latino thing right there. Like that is actually Latinos would absolutely do. Like every Latino would be like guy like Mexico, Chile, Colombia.
Yeah, I'm like,
I could totally see Latinos doing that.
You're not on the Korean. You're not Korean. I mean, yes, you can probably get it, but you don't compete for Korea. So why would you get that back patch on the back? And also, I feel like you have to earn your way to a back patch, you know, because there's like a joke on the internet where people are like, oh, if you see a judoka with a back patch, you're in for a ride, you know? So I feel like you kind of have earn your way into it. But I think that the club back patch is a good middle ground, I think, versus getting like one that looks like an IJF back patch. So
that would suck. You get this really cool IGF official looking back patch. Yep. You get on the mat, you get thrown in 5 seconds. Oh no!
Yeah, I don't want. Like, if I go visit a club, I don't want to be a target. You know, it's like a target on your back.
Of course, it's like when you go to a new club, you're wearing your black belt. Sometimes you're like, oh, there's a new black belt. I want to try that black belt out.
Yeah,
but to me, so there's 2 things with me. Okay, one, I wouldn't want to get a back patch that didn't have my name on it. Unless it was a club one. If it was, I guess it was a club one, like saying Hollywood Judo on there and had the Hollywood Judo symbol on there and it says Hollywood.
But that's what the chest patch is for, not the back patch.
That's what I'm saying. I get it. I understand. Like I'm saying, I guess, but if it doesn't say Juan, it doesn't say Jay Rodriguez on there, I wouldn't really be that interested in it. You know, that's my opinion. 2, now a pro to get a back patch. Everyone knows if you fought someone that has a back patch, I like doing, I'm going to give away the secret right now. I like doing a lot of back grabbing throws. Like kind of crushing somebody, getting their back to get a really deep throw. If someone has a back patch on,
it's easier to grab.
You think? I think it's harder to grab because that's fake silk. So it's like I'm just slipping off every time I'm trying to grab it.
Well, I guess depends on the build. Like, you know, some big guys, like the other Juan we have, Big Juan. If he had a back patch, it would be easier to grab. And Charles has a back patch, right? He wears all the time. I found it easier to grab when he wears his back patch.
Really? I have a hard, see, that's the thing. I find it harder to grab if someone has a back patch on personally. But that's interesting. So I guess maybe it's up to your grip maybe, or like how you think of,
you know, the double weave when it's tight on the back, you're like, you can't really grab anything. You might be able to grab a little bit with a tip. But,
grab a little tip. I'm going to throw them with this.
The back patch, I feel like it can actually, like you said, is more slippery, but there's more material. It's easier to scrunch up the material to grab like a good fistful. So that's just what I think.
So leave us in the comments what you guys think about fighting with the back patch on. Is it easy to grab for you? Is it harder to grab for you?
We clearly don't have that much experience in it, if you can't tell. So for those people who fight internationally all the time,
a lot of back patches.
Yeah, a lot of back patch experience. Let us know what you prefer, actually. But
all right. So,
but isn't that why the new IJF rule says you can't get like the patches anymore, or the flags can't have to be embroidered or something like that?
Yeah. So the rule was that if you get the flag put on you or like any of your symbols, I guess it has to be like a patch and then it's sewn on. It can't be sewn into the gi.
Okay.
That was the rule that
so maybe
talked about the coaches meeting.
Yeah. Maybe it is I don't know. Let's move on.
Let's move on. Okay. Next question.
You want to go with the Reddit? What the one I got from Reddit?
Yeah, let's go with.
So this is Judo Matt from Reddit. Happy anniversary! I'm a listener and not a viewer, and generally think judo does not need more technique demonstration videos. Like, go back to our episode. So he kind of agrees with us. If you have something specific you want to say about technique that could warrant making a video about it, but generally there are plenty of technique demonstration videos around. Yep. And then here's the question, right? To grow judo in the US, there seems to be a general consensus that we need more instructors. How do we develop a culture where students are encouraged to graduate and start their own clubs as instructors? How do we turn perpetual brown belts into black belts? Ooh. I feel like this is, we'll try to keep it short and maybe we'll come back to it next time in a large episode. And we kind of did talk about it many episodes ago, right? I think it might have been the one where we talked about how to market judo in the US. And there was this kind of reminds me of that one time where we went to the coaches clinic and there's that guy that was basically complaining about the quality of black belts we have nowadays. He was basically saying, well, I know we got to grow judo, but there's black belts and then there's black belts. Right? You remember when we were talking about that, right?
Yeah.
So you're right. Most people agree that there should be more instructors, but they're also kind of hypocritical because they refuse to lower the standards for being instructors. Like they keep it so astronomically high in what I think. And obviously I personally think we shouldn't go the other end where it's like BJJ, where you have blue belts opening their own clubs,
open up academies.
Yeah. So I don't think it should be that, but like you said, I think brown belts, like maybe Sankyu or Nikyu is a good middle ground. But in order to do that, the national federations have to come up with a curriculum for the belt for them to follow, right? Because we know some brown belts, like they know enough judo to be dangerous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They know enough to be dangerous. So you don't want them just going out there and teaching what they think, whatever they want, right?
Yeah, they don't have no supervision or nothing.
Yeah, you have to have a guideline.
Flying arm bars and stuff.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. So you have to have a curriculum. And back in the day when we were talking about the American Judo Development Model, the AJDM, we thought that would be the thing, but it ended up coming out. Obviously, that's not the thing, and haven't heard about it for a long time. So you have to have a sanction, basically kind of like a coach's clinic course to tell people how to teach. But we all know how it goes. Like the National Federation don't want to lower the standards for instructors, and also they don't want to take the liability for it. Right? That's another reason. Like I said, you can't be there telling them what to do. Right. So if someone gets hurt or something, they're going to take the fault for it. So there's a lot of risk aversion there. And what else was I going to say? There's just a lot of roadblocks, right? We need a curriculum. We need some way to also help them. That's another thing. How do you help these people start a dojo? We had a discussion last time. We saw Philippe and I saw someone that he hasn't seen in a long time at the Taishi Judo tournament. And then Philippe was telling me, oh yeah, that guy, he tried to start his own club and he told his instructor, I want to start my own club. And this is a guy that's like a black belt, not a brown belt.
Yeah.
And he went up and flipped out. The guy flipped out to the fact that he wants to open the club, not even like down the street. We're not going down the street, like 10, 20 miles away from him. Right. So there's also this kind of thing happening, right? Like, how dare you come and take my lunch? Basically,
No, I totally get it. I understand. I get all this stuff. To me, there's certain things. So I would love to grow judo more. The problem with judo sometimes is that, like, we live in Los Angeles. Again, we live in LA. Very big. It may not seem like there's a bunch of judo dojos here in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
Just here, nothing where kind of like where I live at in Koreatown, you have us and you have LA Judo. Okay. You go to downtown right now, you got Sawtell, not Sawtell, you have Tenri. I know one of the other temples out there has like a kids class, and now the LA Budokan's opening up. They want to open up their own judo club, I believe also. So you're going to have like 3 clubs right there in Koreatown. I mean, out there in Little Tokyo.
But all 3 clubs have very different cultures and ways of teaching.
Yeah. So but here's my thing. And then you get to other places like where my cousin lives. Like when I go visit my cousins, they live in kind of a smaller area. They live out in, I'm just gonna name it. People probably don't know what it is, but they live in Delano near Bakersfield. That small town, I think it's a Taekwondo dojo, like one Taekwondo dojo, and they have a BJJ club. I know they have a BJJ club. I'm not sure if it's like an MMA club or like a boxing BJJ club and stuff. But I've looked it up before when I've gone out there to visit my family for things. If I'm going to be out for a couple of days, I like training judo. Is there any judo clubs out here? There's none in that small town. Yep. The closest judo club in that area, I think, was one in Bakersfield. I believe there was one in Bakersfield, and it was like a once a week judo class. Yep. So I think it's just more about us getting judo in smaller areas. That's one of my things. And I get the whole thing that, you know, why you have to be a certified brown belt or minimum black belt. And this brings me to a thing that I think it was Jimmy Pedro that said in an interview that I saw his a long time ago. And it was back when they were first starting the American judo system. So many people, when you start doing judo, for some reason, think I have to learn from someone on the national team. I have to learn from an Olympian. I have to learn from somebody that was at this level, because they believe that if you're just a plain black belt, you don't know anything. And I think it was either I believe it was Jimmy Pedro. If I have it wrong, I'm sorry.
It is. Yeah, it is Jimmy and Travis. They said that. Yeah. There
was a thing that when you think about it, when you're a kid, that you're an American kid and you first learn baseball or basketball or any of those normal sports or team sports that most people do when they're younger, you learn from like your dad's friend or the community center guy, you know? And then if you get good, okay, then you go to like maybe a good college coach or a good high school coach. And then from there, then you move on to a higher level. So many people think that, there was a member of our dojo found out a guy that trained with us that was, I think he was like a purple belt or brown belt in BJJ. It was a long time ago, before you were at the dojo, actually, was going to open up a dojo. He was open up a BJJ academy. And he was like, how's he going to open up an academy? He doesn't have no national title. He wasn't a Pan Am champion. And it's
that's the thing that BJJ understands that. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to be a Pan Am champion to be a good instructor, to teach the basics and teach the root of BJJ. So why is it when people come to judo, they think, oh, I have to learn from a national level guy. I have to learn from a guy that's been a US champion or international champion or Olympian or something, you know? So I think it's also a mindset that you have to open up your mind to people's minds of learning from just a black belt, you know? Yeah, not everybody's going to be a national level player, you know, especially we're not going to get national level players opening up dojos in smaller places, you know?
Yeah. Also, like, oh man, trying to not make it obvious who I'm talking about, but
okay.
You'll have some national players, I won't say from which country, that been doing judo since they were a kid from other countries, right? And they like go on the national team, and now you come here and tell them to teach recreational adults judo. They're going to teach you how they learned it when they were as a kid. And it's like, some of them are crazy, right? The training regimen. So you can't do that. You can't teach it that same way to recreational adults. And some people might be flexible enough to adjust their curriculum and teaching methodologies to match like your recreational adult that's not trying to go compete or whatever. But a lot of times it's like, this is how I did it when I was a kid. You've got to do this way or get out of here. Like,
yeah.
So
it's like, I don't want to train national level status as a white belt. Okay. Maybe once I get used to this and I'm a citrus color or a brown belt, then I'll be like, want to train that international style. But right now I'm a white belt. I'm just getting started. And I've seen that happen before, because we had a guy at our dojo. I'm going to say his name, great player, Clovis, Olympic level player, went to the Olympics for Coast the Ivory. And when he would come train with us and he would coach, oh my God, those days sucked, because he'd be like the hardest days ever. And there was one time we had this dad there that his daughter just joined judo. He was a BJJ guy. And for some reason, didn't want to get thrown by Clovis. Clovis came in so hard, the way he came in, it was all or nothing throws. So he came in so hard, he ripped the guy's BJJ, ripped his gi and still threw him. And I'm just like, oh my God.
To be fair, the gi most likely ripped because the guy bleached his gi. Let's just leave it out there. But no, same thing.
It was a brand new gi. I saw it come out the bag.
With my old club, there was a national team member for Germany that was the sensei there. Not Germany, Romania. Maybe he went for Germany too. I don't remember, but I used to like throw up during his warm-ups, and a couple other people too. And it ended up being, because sometimes he's out of town for work. When he's out of town for work, the classes numbers are huge. But when he's in town, this class is really small. And there were a few occasions where I came in early enough that I noticed people come in and peek and see if he's there. And if they see him, they would leave. So you
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So it's like, if you teach people like that, like, yeah, the instruction is good, but then you're starting to alienate a lot of people. And that's why you're not seeing a lot of growth in adults in judo. And then that's where you get the whole judo is hard. Yeah. Too hard for my body kind of thing. So,
yeah, that's why I kind of like what we're doing right now at our dojo. We have these beginner classes that are warming people up to get to the advanced classes. Because they get to our beginner class, we teach them kind of light, get them used to it, dip their toes in it, not throwing them really hard. Yeah. And then we build them up to get to the advanced, and they're doing pretty well right now. Yeah. We're having pretty good retention rate right now. Just a lot of people are staying. So,
yep. I'm happy with that. To go back to the question about how do we turn perpetual brown belts into black belts, I think you have to start prepping them before they're brown belts. It's a key thing. And I like to use this comparison a lot. It's just like homelessness. Like, there's no one solution. We need to do this. And that's actually this line of thinking is actually why nothing's really being done, because nobody could agree on the approach to solve this problem, instead of just admitting that you have to tackle the problem from multiple angles and dump a lot of resources into it. Yeah. So someone would be like, okay, the problem is we don't have enough competition. So I don't care about what the hell you want to do. I'm just going to host more competitions. And someone else would be like, no, the problem is we're not letting brown belts become instructors. I'm going to focus on pushing this, when all of them should be working together to make it easier instead of getting in each other's way. If you know what I mean? Like, just because you don't agree on the one solution, sometimes they argue and things don't get done. Yeah. So it has to be that you have to also help the brown belts, teach them how to run a club. And let's be honest, we don't need, even though it works out, we don't need like 4 judo clubs in like LA in the same like 5-minute walking distance. Yeah. So you have to, like, as a national governing body, you can't tell someone to move. Like, if you have a brown belt, just like the black belt that I talked about, he's not going to move his whole family to open a club. Maybe he would, but most people wouldn't. So if he has to move far enough away from his original sensei to open a club, that's telling him to like uproot his whole life and tell his kids to make new friends and all that stuff. So it might be good to just like develop judo programs in places that are kind of like has larger population, so it has a demand for it, but nobody teaches their judo there. Like, for example, Albuquerque is a place that I've looked up, and plenty of people ask, like, is there a judo club in Albuquerque? There's no judo club. There's just like 4 BJJ clubs. Oh, yeah. So maybe you send someone out there once every month or once every 3 months, teach the BJJ people, or teach someone out there who's interested in getting a judo brown belt and opening a club. Spend the time to teach them this, or maybe teach 3 or 4 people. Because let's be honest, not picking one person, that person might not make it or just quit. So like, send someone out there once in a while to train these people and have them open up a club, and then keep supervising them. And over time, you start letting the leash looser and stop going there to keep track of them as much. And then send someone there once a year to look at how they run the classes, or have them send videotapes of you running the classes and review it and criticize them and tell them, hey, you're not sticking to the curriculum we told you, and have them send reports to the national governing body saying, all right, this week we taught this, and this. I test these people for yellow belt. Like, these are just all ideas of how.
It'd be the same way as like how, again, like when my cousin lives in a small town and stuff, if I went to that BJJ place, someone could tell them, okay, well, I see you guys got BJJ here. I know most BJJ places want to learn a little bit of judo, do throws. What if I come in once a month and do a clinic here, and maybe get someone that's like, oh, I really enjoy this judo stuff. And I just cultivate, like I said, cultivate that person to develop them into better judo player. And in about 3 years or so, 3-4 years, they'll be a decent brown belt. And then I could trust them to teach, but the thing that it's going to take time. Yep. And that's one thing they want the satisfaction of now. They want a black belt now to be teaching there. They want stuff happen now. Things take time. That's the whole thing about judo. Judo is a marathon, not a sprint. And a lot of people don't get that. Yeah.
Opening clubs is hard. Like, it's running a business, essentially. So not everyone wants to do it. And this is what Jimmy Pedro is basically trying to do with his American judo system is he wants to promote it through the BJJ infrastructure we have here, which is controversial in itself, right? Some people think judo should not be mixed in, but that's, again, I don't agree with that approach, but I think it could work. And I'm not going to go ahead and be like, Jimmy Pedro shouldn't be doing this because what harm does it do from him trying to do this? And if it works, then it's great. All of us get to benefit from this. So there's, I guess, no one good answer to this question. It's just we all need to do something better rather than nothing, sit here and complain. Basically,
yes,
yeah.
It's about doing something, not just standing there in the corner and yelling.
Yeah, and if you have an idea, bring it up, even though other people might not listen to you. You want to plant that seed in their mind. Right. And then in the future, you can be like, I told you so. Like,
okay. It's very judo of you right there. Yeah. It's very humble. All right. So that's our thoughts on that. It's just, like I said, there's not going to be one great answer. We're always going to have to work on this together to grow judo. And if you're really interested in doing judo or you are a black belt, why? I'm not going to say like move to like some small remote town or something.
Hey, some people have done that. Like, some people have done that. But I'm like thinking, Ajax. I want to bring Ajax on the show and maybe I'll message him.
If you listen to our podcast, please get in contact with us. I'd love to talk about how you built your own dojo from nothing after you retired. I think it's a great story out there, right? And I want to hear it. Think you'll like that?
Yeah, maybe. I'm actually considering doing that when I retire from work. Maybe I will go out.
Anthony also wants to open up a judo club on the beach. That's one of his goals.
That's one of my. If I'm rich, that's what I would do. Otherwise, the more realistic
Malibu
option,
beach judo.
The more realistic option is a coffee shop and a ramen shop right next to the dojo. That's what I would do.
On the roof, you put the dojo mat. You put the judo mats on the roof. Just see people flying in the air on the roof.
I mean, it's going to be hard to get insurance to cover my business that way.
Insurance. You don't need insurance. You got USJF insurance.
All right.
So what was the next question about? Oh yeah. My thing was that if you really want to try this out, maybe look around your area, like what a decent drive is for you. If you are brown belt or black belt, maybe, and see like what's a decent drive for you. Like, okay, well, there's no dojo within this 40-mile radius or like 45-minute drive radius. There's no dojo here. Maybe looking at a dojo that way or something, just ideas to build judo, make it more popular here in the US and worldwide. All right. So next question.
Yep. So this is from Instagram. For those who don't know, Juan reads all the Instagram messages and I read all the email messages. So the Instagram message is, hey, Tatami Talk, I have a question that I think others out there might have, or I'm just overthinking two sports due to not having trained in one before, wrestling. When it comes to cross training in either BJJ or wrestling, freestyle wrestling, which one has a philosophy that best matches judo's of quickness, pressure, and intensity? I guess I'll get to my thoughts on that in a second. I know BJJ is maybe more technically close to judo, but I always see wrestlers having mindset that differs from BJJ's slower pace mentality. Again, I don't totally agree with that, but so if I wanted to use judo as my base and gain lost moves like grabs, should I train in wrestling or BJJ? A BJJ school with solid wrestling would be the best option, if I think that's a typo here, if I could find one. What are your thoughts or ideas, as I'm open to other sports also? So you want to take a stab at it, even though I already said something.
Well, we both have different ideas about this stuff because I know Anthony, like his cross training is that he does BJJ, Yep. And if you're asking me what's for philosophy wise, when you talk about the sport aspect of judo, we're an action-based sport. We have 3 to 5 minutes, depending on what time limit you have and what tournament you go to do our matches. Okay. We don't have a lot of time. We're about getting someone down fast, working hard in our time. To me, I like wrestling. And it might be because I grew up wrestling also. And I find it was a lot easier for me to go from wrestling to judo other than from wrestling to BJJ. One of the reasons why I left BJJ is because it was too slow for me. I don't like plotting, methodical, like, oh, one to have time, patience. I do. It's just I wanted to work for stuff. And when I saw judo and how fast paced it was, I liked that more. I like that more. No, I like it more. So for me, if you want to learn the leg grabbing stuff, if your sensei, your instructor doesn't know them that well or doesn't like teaching it to you, I think going to wrestling will teach you the best leg technique, the grab, the like Morotogari and stuff, double leg, single leg, high C, will teach you the best direct way. And that's what I like about wrestling. And people might, again, get mad when I say this, but wrestling is like, it's like 5 moves. Okay. Double leg, single leg, pin, it's simple. There's not 10,000 moves you have to know. Where in my experience, when I go to BJJ classes, I do open mats and stuff like that. When they start standing, they don't have the best takedowns, or they just automatically, even though you start standing, like, okay, all right, standing. All right, fight. Guys immediately pull guard or immediately start butt scooting. If you really want to learn takedowns, doing judo and wrestling work the best, freestyle or folk style. What I would say to do, though, if you can find a good, reputable school, is catch wrestling, because catch wrestling has majority of all its same takedowns that freestyle and folk style have, plus unorthodox submissions that we don't use that much in judo or BJJ. A lot of cool leg locks, leg takedowns, neck cranks, foot cranks, calf slicers, what's the bicep slicers, stuff they do to Anthony all the time when I'm playing around with him, actually. But to me, I like the idea of going to a good wrestling school. But the problem is that to go to a good wrestling school, even if you go to like a good MMA school, they're going to teach you wrestling for MMA, which is different than freestyle and folk style wrestling. Because a lot of these MMA schools teach you double legs to get to the fence. And then from the fence, scoop them right here, use the fence to take them down. We're in traditional wrestling, whether you learn in high school, college, middle school, elementary, wherever you start at and stuff, we don't have a fence to go to. We have a circle. All right. I have to get in deep inside you, scoop you up and take you down. So that's for me. I like wrestling, and my thing would be to try to find a good catch wrestling school or a good wrestling school. And I know people are going to be like, oh, well, I'm just hating on BJJ again. I'm not hating on BJJ. It's just, it's mostly Newaza. They don't have good takedowns. And that's what you want to help out your thing, supplement you with takedowns. You want to learn double legs, single legs, high C's, ankle picks, good fireman's carry and stuff. Go to wrestling, freestyle, folk style, or catch. Now, people might say, why is Juan not talking about Greco? Greco is just upper body throws. I'm not allowed to foot sweep. I'm not really allowed to use my legs to throw somebody in Greco. It's all upper body. Okay. So that's why some people say like, oh, he knew Greco. Why did he just take him down to double leg? They don't do double legs in Greco. All right. I come in for a body lock and try to suplex you. All right. Either an over the top, belly to belly, belly to side, belly to top, get a waist lock on you, suck you up, toss you in the air and stuff like that. Okay. That's Greco. Beautiful throws. I know people always sit there.
Yeah. I used to train with a guy who was on an Israeli Greco team, national team. Yeah. And with the gi, I can shut him down pretty easily because he can't get in for the throws. Yeah. But his grips, man, like his grips were the strongest grips I've ever. I would be leaving with bruises of his fingers, like in a circle. It's like I have a bracelet on.
He gets home. Insane. Who did this to you? What happened? Tell me.
I mean, I've trained with freestyle wrestlers too, and it's just that the grips are on a different level with Greco. It's insane. Like,
yeah. So, Anthony, why do you prefer BJJ as your supplement instead?
Let me go back a bit to what you were saying. Like you said, if you go to an MMA place, yes, they teach you wrestling, like you said, but most places will only teach you enough to be for the sport. Like, let's be honest, MMA is kind of its own style now. Like in the early days of MMA, it was more about like, okay, BJJ versus Muay Thai versus karate or whatever. But now everyone you either focus more on grappling or more on striking. And if you're more on striking, it's boxing and Muay Thai. Enough to be dangerous, but you're not going to find certain Muay Thai specialized elbows happening, for example, or we don't see a lot of Muay Thai clinching happening. So in a sense, I wouldn't say they're a Muay Thai fighter. I wouldn't go there to learn Muay Thai. I wouldn't go to MMA gym to learn Muay Thai because clinching is a really important part of Muay Thai. And I think it's super underutilized in MMA, but again, most places don't train it that much. Same thing with where we're talking about grappling, wrestling. you already mentioned they don't teach you the whole thing. It's just double, single, how to get to the fence, how to escape the situation around against the fence. Mm-hmm. Same thing with BJJ. I think you're not going to learn the full thing at most places unless they have a dedicated BJJ class at the MMA gym. Most places would just teach you how enough to survive on the ground, especially since the round timer can save you. So that's what I think of that. But to answer the question on my answer to the question is, first thing you want to think about is accessibility. It doesn't matter if we tell you, if I told you like Wing Chun's like the best martial art cross train with judo, it doesn't matter if that's actually true if you don't have a Wing Chun place near you or a good Wing Chun place near you. So in this case, wrestling is hard. It's not very accessible to adults. Good wrestling schools are not very accessible to adults. Even catch wrestling, that's even more rare. Mm-hmm. And before I move on with that, so this listener said, which one has a philosophy that best matches judo of quickness, pressure, and intensity? My issue with that is the word pressure. Like, pressure means different things to different people, right? To me, like, I think most people, when they say pressure, they mean physical pressure, like just like pushing, dragging them down, feeling the weight of someone. And it could also be that, or it could be constantly attacking, just like not doing counter judo, not waiting for an explosive entrance that comes out of nowhere. Or it could just mean, how do you say it? When I went to Japan, I fought against some of the higher ranked Japanese people at the Kodokan. Mm-hmm. The moment they grab onto your gi, you feel that pressure. You're like, oh crap. Like there's like invisible wall there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you feel like a throw is going to come at any time and there's nothing you can do about it. Versus when I fought a Chilean guy that was on a Chilean national team, it was just like stiff, like that kind of pressure. Right. Mm-hmm. So I think it depends a lot on what you mean by pressure. If you're talking about physical pressure, again, I agree with Juan. Wrestling, nothing beats that. That amount of physical pressure is just always pressuring. If you go watch wrestling matches, you see that all the time. And if you don't have wrestling available, then no gi, BJJ, you'll see that kind of pressure too. Like go look at ADCC trials, right? No gi wrestling, no gi grappling. You'll see a lot of that pressure that you might be looking for. Again, not every BJJ club has a good no-gi program. No-gi is becoming more popular, but also the no-gi game. We were just talking about this yesterday. No-gi game is revolving more and more around leg locks now. Mm-hmm. So you have to, first of all, look at the accessibility of what you're looking for. And then even though it's accessible, is the club good? Like that's what you have to look for, right? If you only have one BJJ club but it's taught by a blue belt, then like
oh, Anthony's hating on blue belts. Get that heat on us now. Now we're hating on blue belts apparently.
You know what I mean, right? And then number two thing is to discover what kind of grappler you want to be. Like one of the things that I tell beginners at judo is like, what is your goal? Like what kind of judoka you want to be? Are you here just to get a workout? Are you trying to become national champion? Are you like figure out a goal? And then after you figure out the goal, it's like, what kind of judo do I want to play? Do I want to be like pressure based? Like how Juan, you're very pressure based. Do you want to be like fast and nimble, or like what kind of throws do you want to favor? Do you want to drop to your knees all the time? Like,
no, you don't. You don't want to drop to your knees all the time. So is that hell on your knees when you get older? It's going to suck when you get older.
Figure out what kind of grappler you want to be. Right. And then from there on, you can pick a complementary art that complements you. And back to your question, why did I pick BJJ? It's because BJJ is accessible. That's number one. I have tons of BJJ around me. And for those who don't know, I live in the South Bay area in LA. And this is like the birth of BJJ in America. Like the Gracies, when they first moved here, they lived in this area and taught out of a garage. And I have a bunch of famous people down here that teach. So number one, accessibility. So it fits my really tight schedule. and then the quality's there. And also my ground game is weak. I mentioned it. My Nawaz is terrible, which is why I'm still a freaking 4-year 3-stripe white belt.
Yeah.
Partially because of my attendance.
Proud of that 3 stripes.
Partially because of my attendance, but I realize I'm not a complete grappler unless I make my ground game stronger. Mm-hmm. So I decided to go do BJJ because of that. I mean, I don't want to say BJJ is basically just judo, but if you look back far enough, they look pretty damn close, right? So to me, BJJ and judo is the same 2 sides of the same coin. So I want to be able to do that and not just have to basically do IJF judo where I just turtle up and wait for the ref to save me. So that's the grappler I want to be. I don't want to be a good IJF judo player. I want to be a complete judoka. So I don't think wrestling is going to help me with that personally, right? Because I'm not really strong, explosive, attribute-based grappler. So, and I just see that declining as I get older. So I want to focus more on the ground game, which is what I'm weak at. And I think that ages really well. The BJJ ground game ages really well, which is why you find a lot of old people doing BJJ. With that said, though, going back a step, what I said about how you only learn the stuff that's applicable, we would talk about how BJJ now, sport BJJ has like worm guard, there's like inversions and all that stuff.
Your favorite new thing now, you're going to talk about it?
Yeah, we'll talk about it some other time. But there's all this sport-based stuff specific to BJJ that I would never, ever be able to do in judo. And I find it useless in a street fight or a self-defense situation, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. So I personally wouldn't train or gravitate towards those moves. When I do BJJ, which is probably another reason why I'm like really bad at it, is because I focus on the old school classic. I'm trying to do like pressure-based passing and all that kind of stuff that's utilizing my size because my height, and not relying on like wrapping the gi around someone's leg, you know?
Yeah. All the sports stuff. That's
all the sport specific stuff.
Kind of stuff that's also kind of some of the stuff that turned me off from BJJ. Not why I fully left BJJ and why I joined judo instead. It's just like that was part of it, not all of it. But yeah, there's starting to be too much sports. And it's like, it all goes back to when I tell people about BJJ. It's like, well, I can't pull guard in a street fight because the guy I'm fighting right here, his homie might come on this side and kick my head in. Okay. Or it might stomp me. That's one of my things. So, but I like your thing talking about accessibility, because that is true. Like, it is very hard to find a good, once you're grown up and you don't go to college, if you're not lucky enough, or you decide not to, and you're already an adult and you want to learn how to wrestle, it's tough to learn how to wrestle. Because when I was younger, dudes from the neighborhood would just come to the wrestling club and wrestle with us. Like, now thinking that I'm older, I'm like, this is just weird. Just guys would come like, hey, I want to wrestle with the kids here. Like, hey, get the F out of here now. Now that I'm an adult, this seems weird, but you'd have guys that come and want to learn how to wrestle would come to the high school. Now you can't do that no more. So if you want to learn how to really wrestle as an adult, you would either have to find a junior college or a college near you that has a decent wrestling program and you will teach you. Or if you go to if you're near a really good good college, that will let you come practice with them, but they're not going to teach you. You're just going to be ragdolled by some people, most likely. You're just going to be cannon fodder for them.
I think that was what I was going to say next, is go to your local college, community college. You don't want to go to like Penn State, you know, and ask.
I mean, walk on Penn State. Yeah, can you teach you how to wrestle? Yeah.
But if you have like you go to some smaller community college that has this small wrestling club, maybe, like, then that would be a good start, I think. Because my old school has a wrestling club, so that would be a good start.
Yeah, because that's what I would say. Because you can't go to high schools no more and just go learn how to wrestle. They don't do that no more. All right, with COVID happening and a lot of dirty ass adults and stuff. Yeah, that ain't allowed no more. All right.
You'd also be surprised how many places actually hire dedicated wrestling coaches to teach wrestling. Like, I don't know if it's still around, but during what is Shintaro and Gary St. Ledger's place in New York, Midtown, called Kano Martial Arts, the new club they opened right before in New York City, Manhattan, right before COVID. They have as far as I remember, they have a dedicated wrestling coach there. And I also think Keenan down in San Diego has a dedicated wrestling coach too. Like I think Justin Flores he's a judoka, but he's a wrestler too.
Yeah.
So if you can find places like that teach dedicated wrestling, you might not know about it. Like I'm sure what the stuff I mentioned, most people, maybe half the people don't know about it. So check that out.
And look for wrestling, not just wrestling for MMA and stuff. Yeah. If they're teaching you takedowns from a fence, that's not real wrestling. But like look for wrestling. And even if you're interested in watching wrestling, something you might go to USA Wrestling website and look for freestyle or folk style tournaments near you, or folk style tournaments or Greco style or freestyle. Yeah, all of them on there. I think they're all on there. Hope they are. Yep. That sounds stupid. Go on there and just go watch the matches. And maybe if you see someone that you like the way they fight or something, be like, hey, where do you guys train at? Where do you guys train at? High school? Do you guys train at college? Do you have a club somewhere? And talk to somebody. Cause I know it can be hard to find wrestling places. As an adult, it's really hard to find real wrestling. And then when it goes to catch wrestling, it's even going to be harder. I was lucky that in Los Angeles, we have two really good wrestling coaches out here. We have, Josh Barnett's coach isn't that far away from us. I don't train. I was going to go train there for a little while, but I found a guy closer to me. I found another real good guy with Catch Wrestling Alliance, and that's here in Los Angeles. But even him, he teaches at UCLA Catch Wrestling, and he teaches at Fight Science. I think that's the name of the gym that he teaches out of. Yeah, Fight Science. Not to confuse with Fight Sports of the recent controversy. So I used to confuse the two. Okay. Yeah. Fight Science. It's in Mid-City, LA. Yep. All right. Yeah. So the second part of the question was about, well, to recap a bit first, find the style you want to be doing, the style of judo, since you want it to be your main martial arts style, judo grappler you want to be, then try out the different martial arts that's accessible to you and find the one that matches. I mean, in the end, you also have to like the place you're going to too, right? So, and then at the end, it says, so if I wanted to use judo as my base and gain lost moves like leg grabs, I don't think leg grabs are lost yet. I feel like that's a exaggeration. It depends on your instructor and who teaches you. It really does, in my opinion. Because if you come to Hollywood, I'll teach you leg grabs all the time, right? I don't think leg grabs are lost yet. They're on the way of being lost, but I don't think they're lost breed. Yet. Yeah. Also, I don't know what you mean by that, because I don't think you should find a place solely based off of leg grabs, because I think a lot of people put leg grabs up in this high pedestal, and then when they realize that I train at a place that allows leg grabs, right? And BJJ, and I rarely get people try leg grabs on me all the time because I'm tall, and I rarely get taken down. If I do get taken down, it's by another wrestler usually that knows how to do good double leg and good leg grabs. And it's usually because I'm going light and they explode in, and it's like I wasn't ready for it most of the time. But I could have sprawled, but BJJ mats kind of small area, tight. So, or most of the time, even if they grab my legs, I just counter them with Uchimato or Sumigaishi. So I think people need to set a more realistic expectation of what they're going to learn out of a place that allows leg grabs. You're not going to be revolving your whole game around leg grabs. Let's put it that way. And the more realistic expectation is that you're going to learn how to defend against leg grabs when they come, and there's always the threat of it happening. So you keep that in the back of your mind, and it will affect your judo a bit. But look up a place that has freestyle judo. That's one judo places that allow leg grabs, or talk to your training partners. Like me and Juan sometimes grab each other's legs, right? So he tries. He doesn't. Yeah, I try. It doesn't work. But so just there's ways around it. But if I were to find a martial arts place like a club, I wouldn't revolve it around leg grabs. But if leg grabs are that important to you, I think Sambo is a very good. Again, that's also another I think it's probably easier to find than wrestling, but Sambo is another really good choice if you have that around. I wouldn't prioritize leg grab. Leg grabs is something you can totally ask. If your sensei is old enough, just ask him to teach you, because nobody asks them, but ask your sensei to teach you leg grabs and they will most of the time. So if not, go travel to some place and visit and learn it over a weekend and then practice it back at home. Hopefully that answers the question.
But basically,
or added more questions.
Yeah, basically wrestling would be the best for what you told us, but it's not very accessible. So, and then BJJ with the wrestling, no gi BJJ, in my opinion, would be the next closest thing.
Mm-hmm. All right. Was that the entire part of the question, or was there another part? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I hope we answered it. We gave our thoughts on it, our opinions. So let us know what you guys think about it. What do you guys cross train in? Do you guys cross train in wrestling, catch wrestling, BJJ? Do you do Sambo? Do you do, what's that Chinese version of judo, Sambo?
Oh, Shui Jiao.
Yeah. Maybe you do Shui Jiao. You know, maybe you do Sandow or something, you know?
New York City has good Sambo and Shui Jiao programs. So if you live there, then that's a good place to go to. Yeah.
Maybe you do sumo. Anthony was thinking about getting into sumo for a little while.
I want to try sumo out. Yeah.
All right. So there's some great questions people sent to us. Some very interesting stuff. We decided
that went on long today. That went on longer than I thought it would.
That went pretty long. Yeah. So do you want to go to the joke about going light, or do you want to cut it?
Let's talk about it next time. Yeah.
Talk about it next time.
Yeah. This is pretty long. Otherwise, it's going to be like a 2-hour episode. So
2-hour episode. Okay. So we'll talk about the joke about going light maybe next episode. Hopefully, if we don't have something else that comes up. But if someone says let's go light, please go light with them. Don't use that as an excuse to go, oh yeah, I tricked them. Now I'm going to go hard on them. So our next episode, I guess we'll talk about going light and maybe some unwritten rules of judo or just grappling period.
Etiquette.
That some people
just etiquette. Yeah.
Etiquette, ethics, maybe some judo ethics, grappling ethics. Don't touch gloves and hit somebody. Okay. Don't do that. All right. So is there anything else you want to talk about, Anthony, or is that it?
No, I guess just watch out. I think it's a little early, but we have the Twitch live stream coming up with our tournament, our in-house tournament again. So just watch out for that. I think it's May 15th. No, that's our anniversary. That's our club's anniversary.
Yeah, it's going to be May 1st. It's a Sunday.
May 1st.
It's going to be in like 2 weeks, I believe.
Yeah, 2 weeks
from now.
Yep.
Yeah, 2 weeks from now. It'll be May 1st to be on our Twitch channel again. And yeah, please watch it. Let us know how you guys like it. And we're thinking about also doing that. It's going to be either a watch along or we're going to do some review videos. We're going to just get some matches that we like to watch. Just some matches that happen at the Japan Open or maybe some other matches. And we're just going to talk about them, watch the match, talk about what's happening, talk about our insight from what we've seen in the matches. So it either is going to be a watch along on Twitch. And maybe after that, if we do it on Twitch, we'll definitely post it on YouTube later afterwards.
I realized Twitch deletes your videos after certain days unless you specifically tell it to archive it or something.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I know that.
I didn't know that.
This guy here, he's supposed to be a technical one too. All right. And we're going to have some more videos come out. Like I know we did long time ago, did a duffel bag video about like what's in our bag. So we're going to do a new one of that one. And it's actually be a video we're going to put up. And maybe since it's warmer, we're here in Los Angeles or in California, it's summertime now, do a video on lightweight gis or single weave gis also. Yep. So look out for that as well.
We already did a video on it, but I guess someone a long time ago, I think it was Kevin, requested it again and kind of want us to go more into detail about it because we just kind of like skip through like this one I like it for this reason, this one I like it for this reason. So this time I'll probably go into more detail about the gis. So
all right. So please like, share, and subscribe. You can follow us on Instagram at Tatami Talk. You can follow us on YouTube at Tatami Talk. If you have any questions, things you want us to review, talk about, like today's whole episode, you send those questions at tatamitalk@gmail.com. All right. You can follow me on Instagram at @Gerard_Juan. You can follow Anthony at Anthony Throws on Instagram. All right. Is there anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. So don't forget to
slap the mat.
God, he almost forgot that. You see that? All right. Later, everybody.